Welcome to Cook 30. I'm Jeremy Dixon from the Revive Cafes in Auckland, New Zealand, and also wrote the Revive Cafe cookbooks. And today I'm going to share with you some delicious recipes from my cafe that you can cook in your very own home. Cook 30 food is all about using wholesome whole food ingredients. We're going to be using great protein sources like beans, legumes and nuts, whole grains like brown rice and quinoa, fresh fruit and vegetables, and tying it all together with delicious international herbs and spices. And the best part about Cook 30 food is you do not have to spend hours slaving away in the kitchen. In just 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can make a delicious, healthy meal for your family, and you're going to be so surprised how easy it can be. On the menu today we have supercharged Mexican nachos. And these are not your normal cheese dripping unhealthy nachos that you get at Mexican places. This is healthy. We're going to start with the Revive Chilli served on corn chips. We're going to be serving it with fresh tomato, lettuce, avocado, cucumber and limes. We're going to drizzle over the top some cheesy cashew sauce and serve it with pan-fried vegetables. And to finish, the sweet is amazing. Blueberry better than ice cream. You must try this, it's a delicious, healthy dessert. Now, 30-minute meals do not happen by accident. You need to make sure you're very prepared. We've got a nice clear bench surface. All our ingredients are stocked in our pantry. And we've got the pans on the stove already nice and hot. That's going to save a couple of minutes cooking. So to start with the chili, we're going to start with an onion. And we're just going to chop this up in no fancy way. Going to put some oil in the pan, about 1 tablespoon. Whoops, better take the lid off. Always helps. And you want to get your onions on straight away, because these are going to take a few minutes to cook. Might just turn that down a little bit. We're going to add some ginger. I'm going to add a tablespoon of ginger, and this ginger in a tube is really good stuff. You can use fresh ginger if you want and chop it up, but it's really easy to use some of these great pre-prepared ones from the supermarket. Garlic's our next ingredient, so garlic, ginger and onions go together really well. Just pop 2 garlic cloves in your press it together, and there you go. Seconds, we've got some ginger, some garlic in there as well. So just going to let that saute for a couple of minutes, and that onion will caramelise and become really, really sweet. It's really important when you're cooking with onion that you make sure it's cooked thoroughly at a high temperature to begin with, or else you kind of get that uncooked onion taste, which isn't that much fun at all. That's going nicely. Going to add some Cajun seasoning. You can just use any spices you want, but there's some great spices around. So about 1 teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. I'm going to add some cayenne pepper just for a little bit of heat. And again, you want to make sure you're not over spicing it, but just a little pinch of cayenne pepper just adds a nice little bite to it. So you can choose how much you want to do or not. It'll just mingle up nicely. See, those onions are nearly getting nice and soft and clear. It's looking beautiful. I'm going to add some capsicum or red pepper, depending on what country you come from. And this just really rounds out the flavour. So we're just going to chop it up just reasonably roughly. You don't need too many chef skills here. And again, try and economise all your cuts, so you're not having to cut everything multiple times. There you go. Put that in as well. What you've got is a really nice flavoursome base there for the chilli that we've got. A little bit of heat and lots of great flavour with the onion, the garlic and the ginger. So now we're going to put in some tomatoes, and we've got some peeled and crushed tomatoes. You can just use diced tomatoes or whole tomatoes, but you may need to blend them first. So you want to make sure you've got, you know, globbiness of tomatoes, not just tomatoes and water. So we'll pour this in the mix. It's really good to get this dish on first because it's going to take around about 20 or 30 minutes for all the flavours to mingle together and become a really, really nice chilli. There's the tomatoes. And we'll throw some beans in now. Now you can cook your own beans and freeze them, which is the way I normally do. But if you want something in a hurry and something that's easy, you can get fantastically inexpensive beans in cans from the supermarket. And today I'm going to use some black beans and some dark red kidney beans, but you can use any kind of beans that you like. Just going to drain them, and you don't need to be too pedantic about draining them. As long as most of the liquid's out, you're fine. Just turn this up here a bit. There we go. So we're going to leave this here just to simmer on a very low temperature and just come back to it and stir it so it doesn't stick on the bottom. And after about 20-30 minutes it'll just be absolutely delicious. We're going to add some coconut cream and some coriander and corn at the end, but we'll wait till the end. So that's the chilli under the way. The big work's done. We've got the main cooking dish underway for our meal. There's nothing nicer than on top of some Mexican meal, some really nice slivered pan-fried vegetables. So we're going to start with some red onion. And we're just going to slice some onions and some capsicums or peppers, whichever country you're from, and just pan-fry them briefly. And these will just be a really nice addition to this this Mexican supercharged nachos we're making. So yes, these sliced onions are great. So we're going to start with these. We're going to start with a tablespoon of oil and a hot pan. Start with the onions because they're going to take the longest to cook. Just let them slowly pan fry here. And one of the keys about cooking, if you ever want to make food taste great, is making it look great. And half of the key to making it look great is lots of different colours. So we've got purple from the onion, we've got green, orange, red peppers. So always look for different colours when you're making any food. Oh, the onion's making me cry. It's a good onion, obviously. So yeah, we just want to chop up all these peppers. Now we'll do an orange one. So just rip the insides out, get all the seeds out, chop it in half and then just slice it up. And now a red one. So these are going to really cook up nicely. And the trick with cooking this type of a vegetable is you want to have them cooked so they're cooked but not overcooked so they're mushy. So you kind of want a little bit of crunch still left in them. And because there's quite a large volume of vegetables in this pan, look at those beautiful colours. This may take, probably about 10 minutes to cook. And they'll just kind of soften a little bit, but you still want to retain that little bit of crunch. So we'll just leave them there cooking and they'll be great. Just stir the chilli here. It's just starting to stick a little bit on the bottom. As you can see, it's starting to thicken up. As you can see on the edges, some of the tomatoes starting to redden up a bit and that just means a lot of the water's escaping and the flavours are enhancing and becoming stronger. In most Mexican restaurants you get very, very unhealthy cheesy sauces to put on your meal, but here's a great, delicious, healthy one. And it's a cashew cheesy sauce. So you're going to need a blender for this one. You can also use a stick blender or a food processor. So we're going to start with 1 cup of cashew nuts. That's the first ingredient. And I'm using cashew pieces. If you look at cashew pieces, they're actually partial cashew nuts. And often you can pay half the price for these, because when you're blending things up you don't need a whole cashew nut. So there's just a little good budget saving idea you can use. We're going to add some cornstarch or corn flour. So we need a teaspoon of that. And you can get that from your grocery store. We've got some turmeric, and turmeric will give it a lovely yellow colour. So we want about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Pop that in there as well. We want some salt, and we've got 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And some nutritional yeast flakes or nutritional yeast seasoning. You can buy this in most health stores, and this just gives a great kind of cheesy flavour. You want about 1 tablespoon of that. Put more in if you like it as well. So that's all the solid ingredients. We just need some water. So I'll just grab 1.5 cups of water. Pop it in the blender. Lid on, wherever I put that, here it is. And blend it. While that's blending, I'm going to start stirring over here. Give the curry a bit of a stir, the chilli a bit of a stir. Give the vegetables a bit of a stir. I've actually got the onions on the bottom because they're going to need cooking the longest. So they're just cooking away, just give them a little bit of movement. And come back and this should be nearly ready. Here we go. Here's our mix. So as you can see, it's very, very liquidy. You probably don't think that's going to turn into a cheese sauce, but it will. So we've got a medium hot pan here to put this in. And we're just going to pour it in there. And we're just going to just lightly cook that. You don't want to cook it too much. And this will just slowly start to thicken. As you can see, it's starting to kind of cook on the sides a little bit. And after a couple of minutes, this will become a really nice, deliciously healthy, cheesy sauce. Now it's really important when you put this in the blender that you end up with everything blended properly. If you don't blend things properly, you can end up with like a liquid and little bits of cashew pieces, and that won't form the sauce quite as nice as having a really truly blended cashew nut where everything's all nice and cheesy and creamy and blended together. So we'll just let that sauce just simmer there, just very, very gently. It might take about 5 or 6 minutes, and that'll just start to thicken up very, very slowly. So to recap where we're at, we've got the chilli is virtually finished. It's pretty much done, it just needs a little bit more cooking and the final ingredients, so that's all done. The vegetables are going nicely here, just sauteing nicely. And we've got the sauce on, so we're in a really good position. We're about halfway through our 30 minutes and the meal's looking like it will be completed in time. Today on Cook 30 we are cooking a delicious Mexican supercharged nachos. This is a healthy version of your favourite Mexican meal. We're starting with revived chili served on corn chips, accompanied with tomato, lettuce, avocado, limes and cucumber. Over the top we're going to drizzle a healthy, cheesy cashew sauce and serve it with pan-fried vegetables. And of course for dessert we have an amazing blueberry better than ice cream, which will blow you away. So next part, we need to prepare some vegetables. Every healthy meal has lots of fresh vegetables. So we're going to start with lettuce, which is a great thing to have. So we'll probably have half an iceberg lettuce. And we're just going to just chop it in half, chop off the end a bit, and then just lots of thin slices. Lettuce can be very dangerous for chopping, so be very careful you don't get your fingers. That's probably the part of my cafe prep that we've had the most accidents from, is people chopping lettuce, believe it or not. So we'll lay that out. We'll throw in some tomatoes. Got these from the staff of some of the 3ABN staff garden. They're beautiful tomatoes. And again, we've got yellow tomatoes and red tomatoes. So, you know, don't be scared to use different colours. So we're just going to slice them up to nice slices. Again, try not to cut yourself. And use these on our lovely Mexican meal. So it's really good to use home produce when you can. If you know someone who has a garden, or if you have a garden, there's nothing like homemade produce. So just kind of lay them out. On a nice platter here we're starting, just arranging all the lovely vegetables. So we've got lettuce, tomatoes, avocado. It's always scary opening avocados because you don't know what's going to be inside. Got no idea what they're going to be like. Look at that, it's looking pretty good. A little bit of brownness, but we can cut that off. Actually, there's a bit too much brownness, I might try another one. Avocados can be very problematic. Just slice it in half. Look at that, beautiful. And the safest way to get the stone out is just chop it. And don't hold it while you chop it, because I've actually chopped my thumb off nearly doing that once before. So chop it, twist it, and then get the stone off. And you're ready to go and chop the avocado. And my favourite way of chopping avocado is firstly get rid of the skin, and then put it on the board, and then slice it up into lots of really thin slices. And it's really nice just to fan it out, so just kind of push it like that with your hands, and you can fan it out, and it sits really nicely and looks really nice on a platter. Just like that. That's avocado. We've got a cucumber, found half a cucumber in the fridge. So again, we're just going to chop it up. Cucumbers generally don't behave themselves as much, they just want to roll away everywhere. Just arrange them together. Whenever you're arranging things on platters, I find it always looks a lot better having things clumped together rather than spread out. It kind of keeps your colours all together. So is that everything we want for the platter? Oh, limes. Nothing like a squeeze of lime on top of your Mexican meal. So just give everyone some nice wedges of lime to use. And the really nice thing about this meal is everyone can kind of customise it how they want. And we'll just lay them like that. So there's our vegetable platter, which is really nice, beautiful and colourful, that's going to go along with our meal. Better get back quickly and stir this cheesy sauce. It's actually really looking really nice. Here it's thickened up, but it's probably not quite pouring consistency. So the good part about this recipe is we can just add a little bit more water, so probably another half cup, and every mixture kind of ends up being different, so it's kind of hard to give an exact recipe. So just stir some more water through, give it a nice stir through, and just a little bit more time to heat, and that'll just start to liquidize and become a little bit more thinner, because you want to be able to pour it over your nachos, not kind of glob it over. So I'll give that a little bit more time to keep cooking together. Give the chili a bit of a stir up. Wants to stick on the bottom. Look at that, it's just coming along beautifully. See how it's thickening up nicely. And the vegetables, the onions are done on the bottom, which is great. And we can just stir up all these peppers. So you want your onions very well cooked, but your peppers you don't need to have as well cooked. So going really, really well. And now the part of the meal you've all been waiting for, blueberry better than ice cream. So the first ingredient for this we're going to use is a food processor. This won't work in a normal blender because you need a normal blender like this generally needs lots of liquid, so this needs to be thick. So for thick blending things you need this. So we're going to start with 3/4 cup of cashew nuts again, and again we're using the large pieces. And I'm going to use half a cup of water. So we're just going to make like a little cashew cream first before we put the blueberries in. Blend this up. Just blend that for about probably 10 or 15 seconds. And it'll become a very nice cream. I'll get the blueberries from the freezer. And blueberries are a great thing to have in the freezer because they just keep there and they're there when you need them. So stock your freezer up with lots of frozen berries. Looks like a bit of a cream there now. Look at that. So now we're going to add 2 cups of blueberries. 1 cup, 2 cups. And we're also going to add some honey. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. Liquid honey is a great sweetener to use, nice and healthy. You could also use date puree or agave or something like that. And we're going to add some mint. And this is what really makes this special is mint. And if you've got a mint plant, that's great. But just throw in, 10 big leaves of mint or more if you want to. So just pick it up and just throw it in there. Just give it a bit of a head start there. And again, just process the mixture. Now this may need some water. Again, every mix is different. As you can see, it's clumping up a bit, so I'm going to add a bit more water. So you could need up to double the amount of water just to keep it moving. So you want just enough so it turns into the nice cream. If you add too much, you end up with like kind of a watery kind of texture. If you don't have enough, it just doesn't blend properly. But I think this looks as though it may be about right. The smell of this mint is just amazing. Mint's one of my most favourite herbs, so make sure you grow some in your garden or buy it from the supermarket. And there we have some blueberry ice cream. So just grab a spatula and we're simply just going to put it into our nice serving vessels here and just pour it in, just like that. And so we'll do 4 of those. So fill those up, just give them a little bit of push down, don't push them down too much. And on top of that, we're just going to chop some more mint, just to put on top for a bit of garnish. And a few slivered almonds is a great topping as well. Just on top, just like that, just a couple there, just a bit of extra crunch is nice. And there you have blueberry better than ice cream. Now this won't actually keep in the freezer. If you put it in the freezer, it'll go rock solid. It doesn't have all those kind of antifreeze type ingredients that ice cream does. But you can put it in the freezer now just to keep it cool before we serve it. So if you can keep it there for probably say 15 minutes and then bring it out when you're ready to serve. So now we better check on this. I think everything's ready. The curry, the chilli is pretty much done here. Have a look at that. It's nice and thick. We're just going to finish this off. We're going to add some coconut cream. You can use coconut milk just a little bit, just to give it a bit of extra creaminess. So we'll mix that in there. Look at that. Also we need to add some honey, so a tablespoon of honey. And a teaspoon of salt. And to make it really, really Mexican, we want some frozen corn. You can use canned corn or fresh corn if you want. Just add a cup of corn. Whoop, there's about a cup. And that gives it just some extra colour and some, Mexican authenticness. So I'll just stir that around. And that corn doesn't actually need to be cooked. It just needs to be just in here for a couple of minutes to be warmed up so it's not frozen anymore is all it needs. So by the time you get that on the table and into people's plates, that would have happily defrosted quite nicely. And when we serve it, we're going to add some cilantro or coriander on the top to give it some nice colour as well. Our sauce is looking nice and good here as well, and looks like our vegetables are going. So we're pretty much ready to plate up and serve the meal. So we're serving this over corn chips. So get some nice healthy corn chips, ones that don't have MSG or preservatives. Easy open. There we go. So pour those into a nice bowl. And having a nice selection of bowls in your kitchen is really good for presenting food as well. So we'll have those there. The vegetables I'm just going to put into a nice wooden bowl. And this should just be easy for people to add to their meal. As you can see, the onions have caramelised nicely and the peppers haven't been too overcooked. So that's kind of how you want them. Look at that. Ideally you want things kind of heaped out of bowls as well. Cheese sauce, nice consistency. So just going to pour that in there. We can pour that over our nachos. This is bubbling nicely. I think we'll turn it off now. You don't want to cook it too much when the coconut cream's in there. So give it a final stir. And then we're going to smother it with some cilantro, which is one of my favourite herbs as well. Just some nice fresh cilantro, just roughly chopped, and then just sprinkled over the top. And we'll put that on the table and it's ready to go. And to serve up this delicious Mexican meal, we start with the corn chips. Get a big handful of those, a spoonful of the delicious revived chili. We'll put some of the fresh vegetables on top. Pan-fried vegetables. And smother it with a lovely cheesy sauce. An amazing healthy Mexican meal. Hope you've enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing you next time on Cook 30.